Good day, this is Rick. Today is Saturday, July 19th, 2025 for me. Another day of learning and growing. Hope that you, family, friends, and loved ones are doing well, stay safe. Last week I took the week off from recording. Was not feeling well at all. I think I recorded a video on Wednesday. It's when I went to the dentist. And then learned that I need to have a deep clean. I think that was last week. I'm not sure. Last Wednesday. But in any case, I am trying to plan for the cost of that visit, of my deep cleaning coming up in a few weeks. And they gave me an estimate of around $1,200. So I'm trying to set aside the money from the next paycheck I have coming. I actually going to have, about 3 paychecks before I have that procedure. So I'm going to try to set aside the money necessary to pay for it straight up. I'm going to charge it on a credit card, but I'm going to pay that credit card before the statement balance due date. And so my goal is to keep staying on track with my debt payoff plan, and to just really try to pay off this personal loan this year. And I was looking at my numbers this morning. So right now, my personal loan is $41.25. I took out the loan last year. It was $17,122.87. So I paid off $12,997.87. $12,997.87. So I made a lot of progress with that loan. And this year, I've been very intentional about paying this loan off, because the loan represents a lot. It represents a combination of credit card debt, personal loans, maybe some 401k loans as part of it. It represents moving expenses. It represents medical debt, all that. So I'm down with my personal loan to $41.25, and then all I have left to focus on is the student loans. And it's been a long journey. June 2020 is when I identified that large amount of debt, $115,041.89, and decided to take on the challenge of paying it off. Filing for bankruptcy wasn't really an option. It didn't make sense for me. I was making enough to be able to pay it off. The hardest part of it is just the student loan. And with student loans, I'm not sure if you know this, but you can't file for bankruptcy and then get discharged. It's just not possible. And I think it was George Bush that signed that into law, or at least his administration. And I remember that when that happened, I was probably in my early 20s when that happened, and I just remember thinking, I was like, man, that's kind of horrible. Why now are student loans are not a dischargeable loan? But I'll revisit that at a later date, my deep thoughts about that whole thing. But anyway, this is where I am, very close to paying off this personal loan. I took it as a challenge at the beginning of the year, was to pay off this personal loan in a shorter amount of time than I had signed up for the loan. The loan is a 2-year loan, and I would have it paid off about 4 to 5 months earlier than the loan period. So that's good. I'm glad to be in a position to be able to do that. And the next year I can focus on my student loans. But the challenge of trying to budget when you're in debt, it can be a little bit challenging. I find that challenging right now because I have I've had some big expenses in the past few months. In particular, I had a $1,640 expense. There was something else before that, I forget. And now I've got the $1,200 coming up. But I'm making basically a double payment on my personal loan right now. So it's taking a lot of money out of my income. And of course, I got my other expenses, my mortgage, the internet, gas, electricity, food, all those other costs associated with it. So generally by the end of the month, I don't have a lot of money left over, not a lot at all. So having those big expenses, really just trying to make sure I stay disciplined and not make any dumb choices with my money, not feeling impulsive to make impulse buys or take extravagant trips or trips at all, really. I'm not in any phase of my life right now where I have a desire to do a lot of traveling, even though one of my big goals, hopefully next year or the year after next, is to go to the Montreal Jazz Festival. We'll see if that happens, but that's going to take some budgeting and planning for. So I am a little bit anxious about, I'm anxious about getting a deep cleaning, for one thing. That's going to be a 3-hour procedure. And I reached out to my rheumatologist to find out when I need to stop taking my blood thinner, Eliquis, because there will be some bleeding during that procedure. So I am going to take a few days off, just kind of heal from that and make sure I'm good enough to be able to do a lot of talking, because I do a lot of talking at work, whether on the phone or in person. So I guess one of the other concerns I have is how to tackle the student loan, because the interest accrues daily, and I really want to pay it off in a year. Reasonably, I could probably pay it off in 2 years. That would be ideal. So that would mean if my journey started June 2020, I'll be wrapping up this journey in 2027. So 7 years to pay off $115,000 worth of consumer debt. Like I said in previous videos, I don't make 6 figures. Make less than 6 figures. After taxes, not even close to 6 figures. Even before taxes, not even close to 6 figures. But I make do with what I have. I don't have a lot of extra, expenses that people might deal with, like multiple streaming services and having boats, expensive car payments, and none of that. My car is paid off. My car will be 10 years old next year, and you're gonna think this is crazy. 10-year-old car. How many miles do you think I have on that car? You're wrong. I have 55,000 miles on that car. That might seem a little bit crazy, but I think, I didn't travel hardly at all during the pandemic. I live not too far from work, and I go in a few days a week, So I'm saving up my mileage there. Even when I lived across the country, I made sure I found a place that was close to the job, traveled to and from work, from the grocery store. That was about it. I did make one trip out to California, but that was for business. And even that wasn't too far of a distance. So I have low mileage in my car. I'm going to make sure I maintain and take care of it and hold on to it for another 10, 15 years, whatever. I don't care, about appearances or anything like that. Obviously, you can tell how I'm dressed. I'm just kidding. But, this is an interesting time. Like I said, I do have some anxiety about the remainder of my debt. That student loans in particular. And I'm really hoping I can just come up with a plan to be able to pay that off. And, possibility of me even selling my home if I have to move to another location for work. That's a possibility, which I will talk about in a later video. Not gonna talk about it right now. But anyway, this video is getting too long. I'm gonna go and take a brief walk, and not sure what I'm gonna do with the rest of my day. But anyway, if you made it this far, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. You know when to post my videos. You can find me at youtube.com/@NotInMyBudget. As always, thank you for watching. You all take care.